everyone. Welcome to Adaverse. Today we have two very special guests with us today, J and Krasavice, founders of NightOwlCasino. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Gigi.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, guys. Love to have both of you here. So to get straight into it, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and the experiences that led you to founding NightOwlCasino and building on Ergo?
Sure. Yeah. We actually started the project not too long ago. The reason I kind of wanted to push it out there was because I always thought it would be such a great idea and such a great implementation of crypto in general to have, a casino. And I actually put that idea out there roughly like 6-7 months, kind of hoping that someone would bite and start doing it, just because I wanted to use the casino. And eventually it got to the point where people were making other projects and busy with other things. So I decided to just jump on it myself. And now that I had made some time to focus on this. So I was able to bring it up and was lucky enough to put it out there and get some great guys to come join the founding team, like Krasavice, Fuzi, and Danny. And from there, we just pretty much went on and have done an incredible amount of progress in a very short amount of time, which I'm really happy to see.
That's great. Great to see, people taking initiative and doing the things that some other people might not do. So it's great. And what is exactly NightOwlCasino? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, of course. So NightOwlCasino is Ergo's first decentralized casino, and it's going to be the fairest casino in the world, where we offer complete transparency. It's open source. We have the amazing ability to gain stable passive returns, which is first of its kind. And in the future, we're also going to enable the ability for third-party devs to add their own games. And we believe that it's going to really revolutionize the casino industry for the better. A lot of the ideas that came from the casino came from the team. And it's really taking Ergo's ideology of being truly open source and not going just for the greed, as many others do. We've seen a lot of casinos out there creating their own tokenomics just so they can, allocate a ton towards their founders, and that's something that we did not want to do. So we decided to see what's the most feasible way to be as fair and transparent as possible, and this is what came out, NightOwlCasino.
Yeah, that's exactly what Ergo stands for.
Yeah, and I think decentralizing something like a casino is a really cool display of the power of crypto.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree. I think that the coolest part about it is the ability to you're able to gain passive returns, like if you were staking, but likely going to be greater because you're getting casino returns, and it's on a stable asset, which means that it's going to be pegged to the US dollar. So if the price of the token tanks, if we had a token and the price tanked, it wouldn't affect your earnings because it's stable. So our token is going to be stable, which means that, that's never going to be an issue.
Awesome. Yeah. Is there any other reasons why you're going to do a pegged stablecoin? And kind of going off from that, how does the NightOwl token get collateralized to the US dollar?
Yeah, I might jump in for this one. So really we chose the pegged model because we just designed the casino to be for the users. So sort of thinking about the end product and what the platform we want it to look like for our users. So obviously when you have the pegged token, it means that the players don't have to worry about how crypto is performing and so to use the platform. Like, it's really beneficial in the bear markets or when there's volatility. People will still get the same experience out of the casino, and they don't have to worry about those things. So really, we're just designing it for the players, and as Jay mentioned earlier, for liquidity providers, because we entirely mitigate impermanent loss. So it's just like a really a stable ecosystem. And then, yeah, you mentioned there in terms of collateralizing it, we can just use a simple smart contract. So, you know, we may have some amount of tokens in the contract. They get purchased with SigUSD initially. We may look to use other stable coins in the future. But that SigUSD can just be stored in the contract and redeemed when they want to redeem it. So it's just a very simple system. Like there's no complication really to it. And yeah, again, I just want to mention, like, again, it's very important what Jay mentioned. Like, we chose the model, the pegged model, because we didn't want to have any of that greed. It really stands with the Ergo ideology. You know, just being fair. Like, we literally cannot dump the token price. Like, it's just impossible for us. So this just gives our users peace of mind. You know.
Yeah, you're talking so much about stability. It's kind of contrasting with, you know, the image of a casino, but it's definitely so revolutionary. And what is like transparency bringing to the table in terms of casinos, and, you know, everything you're talking about stability and fairness, and how it's going to be different from the traditional?
Right. Yeah. So, like you mentioned, casinos are kind of known for being shady. Even back in the day, you know, casinos a lot of times were controlled by mafias, etc. And a lot of the times, even nowadays, people, when they go to the slots, they go to the casino, brick and mortar, and they play the slots, they have no idea what their odds are. And no one even questions it, you know. So it's a new way of doing what a casino should be like, is being transparent and showing exactly what the house edge is for every single game that's provided, and allowing for every single individual to know where their money is actually going and what their chances of success are, etc. So being transparent in that is revolutionary for the casino industry, and we believe that not only will be a huge hit for Ergo, but it's going to be a big hit just in the industry as a whole. So yeah, I think transparency is going to be one of the key things that we're really searching after.
Definitely, very cool to hear. And like, speaking of you know, the players knowing, you know, their odds and where their money's going, I know the random number generator is like you know, a big foundation of that. How's that verifiably random by, say, the average user?
Yeah, so basically the simple answer is all our code is public. So that includes that random number generation process. So anyone can inspect the code there and see for themselves that it's safe and it's being used in all of our games. But you mentioned the average user. I don't think the average user is actually going to be going through code and looking at these things themselves. Right. They're going to have the peace of mind knowing that there is a way to actually verify that. Like, I know for myself, when I'm on other casinos, online casinos, that is, I constantly am like, is this rigged? I don't know. And there's no way to check. So that's what's really cool about NightOwl, is you can actually look at it yourself if you wanted.
Yeah, that gives a lot of trust, which I think it's essential, especially for casino industry. And how much yield can LPs expect to earn in NightOwl? And do LPs get 100% of the casino's profits?
So as far as so I'm gonna explain that topic a little bit, and the whole idea of the house. So essentially, what the really cool aspect of a decentralized casino is that not only are you able to make money or lose it gambling, but you can also gain the passive returns, like I mentioned earlier, by providing the liquidity to a liquidity pool. So essentially, every individual can act as the house. So now you're the casino, you can gain returns like if you were the casino. all you have to do is just pool your money together with put your money into a pool. That pool is used to fund any of the bets. So if a player bets something and wins, it'll pull it out of the pool. If they lose, then that money goes into the pool. And then as far as how that's going to work is just how Krasavice mentioned, it's going to be all done through smart contracts. So there's no ability of us to play with that or anyone to, for that matter. And as far as returns goes, at this point, there's no way for us to know exactly how much returns we're going to make, it just because that completely depends on the usage of the site. So of the actual website. Depending on how, if we're super popular and people are playing a ton, then we could expect some a good amount of returns for the amount of money that they put in, because like I mentioned, it's all variable depending on how much money is put into the liquidity pool and how much money is played. So all that will impact the amount of return that every single staker or liquidity provider will get.
And I think you might have already answered this question, but do the liquidity providers share 100% of the profit, or does the team get some? Or
so that's our vision. Not 100%, but the majority of the profit. Obviously, to maintain the platform, funding is needed by certain parties, and that funding will come from a small piece of, or some piece of that revenue. But fortunately, we will have governance with our platform too, as is mentioned in our light paper. So the users can actually have a voice in what's a fair amount of distribution for the liquidity providers and for maintaining the platform.
That's great. It's great. Governance is really important. So does the NightOwl platform tokens hold inherently governance, or must you be providing the liquidity to have a say in the protocol?
So it's going to be in the DNA of the token, so that will probably not distinguish based on your usage. So if you're a liquidity provider or you're a player, it doesn't matter. You still have those tokens. You can have a say in what's going on in the platform.
Okay, that seems more fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So the governance power is held by just token holders. It doesn't matter if you're providing liquidity or not.
Yeah, that's right. Just token holders.
Okay. Great. So this is just like a small detail, but I saw in your white paper, at any given time, the liquidity providers will be able to see, how much they have in the pool, their gains, and the total liquidity in the pool. Is this going to be displayed on the website somehow, in like a UI, or what's the plan with that?
Yeah. So our goal is to do something similar, something like that Ergo Dex has. When you provide liquidity to Ergo Dex, they kind of give you that information on their website as well. So we're probably going to do something very similar to that, where it'll be a page or a pop-up that will show up, that will show you the amounts of liquidity that you provided, returns, etc.
And how do the dynamically sized bet limits work? What is the maximum payout at 1.5% of liquidity proposed?
That's a great question. Okay, so this actually took a bit of number calculations from the team. We spent a couple of days talking about this in depth. This came about just because since we are a decentralized casino, we have restrictions based on how much liquidity we have at any given time. If we have $1 million in liquidity at one point in time, then that would mean that that's how much we have to pay out. So in general, so no one's going to be able to pay over $1 million, because then that would mean that all the liquidity providers, if that person wins, will lose all their money. So how did the 1.5% come about? we actually ran some numbers, and this was the perfect amount where it would allow over 66 people from, if I recall correctly, I would have to look at the numbers, but it would be around 60 people plus that would have to hit the max bet in a row for that, for the liquidity pool to run out of funds. And for the probability of that happening are incredibly low. We even ran the numbers as well. It's something like 0.00000000001. It's like super low. So it's meant to not only protect the liquidity pool providers to make sure that not a couple winning bets don't completely make them lose all their money. And it also protects the players by ensuring that any bet that they do will always get paid out no matter what. So it's the perfect amount where it gives you enough space for not only the player to pay them and the liquidity providers to still make a return on their funds in the long term.
Yeah, and sorry, I might just quickly add on to that. The amount of zeros we got was 20 zeros, I believe. So it's very, very tiny. And on top of that, it's not just 60 or whatever players making the max payout in a row. It's actually simultaneously happening. So yeah, it's so unlikely, or I don't think it could ever happen where that many people simultaneously place a bet and simultaneously win. So yeah.
Yeah, and all these numbers, by the way, we'll publish. Like I mentioned, we only have the light paper now. We're working on the white paper. And this is gonna have all the specific details with all the different numbers, and everyone's gonna be happy to be able to see all of that themselves.
Yeah, the numbers are great. Like, very good job. So what are the games going to be? So, and like what games are gonna be possible for the future? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Which is, I think, the most exciting part.
Sure. Yeah. I'll actually start this one off, and then Krasavice, I do want you to add some bit on this as well.
Sure.
But we're gonna start off likely with heads or tails and roulette. The team has been working on a bot right now. By team, I mean Krasavice, and he's been working on the Ergo script and the smart contracts that's been running a bot actually actively on Discord. And we have a ton of contributors actively testing it. So it's great that we already have something like that live and running right now, and it's going to be available to the community very soon. So I'm sure everyone's going to be very happy to see the first game of Night Owl, which will be playable on Discord. And we're probably also going to add it after to Telegram. But essentially, any game is possible. Some require some more research to see how we conduct them due to block times. A lot of it could be overcome if we go off chain, but like I mentioned, we want to stay true to the whole Ergo ideology, and we'd rather stay fully decentralized. So we're trying to work through some conditions around that. But Krasavice, if you want to, you can go a little bit into detail around the whole block times and how that would work for the different games like roulette versus, say, blackjack, which has different amounts of bets.
Yeah, sure. So there is an engineering challenge in creating a casino on the blockchain. Particularly when Ergo's block times are 2 minutes. So obviously you want to make a fast casino. So 2 minutes is quite unacceptable for a lot of games. At launch, though, because there's already currently solutions for like random number generation, but that has the slow block times attached to them. So that means at launch we can pretty easily do any games that aren't so dynamic. So yeah, perhaps like roulette, heads or tails, or lotteries, and even actually sports bet books and all of that. That was actually originally going to be an extension of the platform, but we're kind of leaning towards maybe having that sooner rather than later, because it's actually not too difficult compared to something like poker. But saying that, I'm sure there's some solutions. Maybe we'll get into them in another question or something. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of solutions for sub-block RNG, which basically means getting a random number within a one block, so we can do more dynamic games. So yeah, that's basically where it stands from the engineering point of view. It's just basically the block time is limiting what we can do right now, but we're doing research on future solutions for all games. So essentially in the future, probably all games.
That's great.
Before the community questions, can I ask, what is your favorite technical aspect of Ergo?
Yeah, sure. I'll just answer this. To be honest, it's probably just the EU2XO model and Ergo script itself. I just find it's so simple to program, which is really enjoyable. There's probably a lot of better technical features of Ergo that I should give some highlight to, but I just think that's what I enjoy the most. It's just how simple it is to create smart contracts, and it just gives you this security when you're creating things on the blockchain.
Yeah, Ergo is definitely a great crypto. So for the community questions, we're gonna start by asking, how will NightOwl navigate the legal aspects of gambling?
That's a great question, and that's one that we get a lot. The answer is actually relatively simple. We're decentralized and we're open source, and we'll never be on any centralized exchanges. Kind of staying true to the whole Ergo ideology. We plan to stay this way forever, and this kind of puts us in a spot where just like Bitcoin in its early days, there's no real way to shut it down. So essentially what we're aiming to do is giving the power to the people, and being the casino in that space that does that.
All right, community question number 2. When is NightOwl going to come out with its first iteration?
That's also a loaded question. It depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about the bot, Krasavice is going to have something very soon. So that's technically going to be the first iteration of games. And as far as the actual DApp goes, we're working on it. We're gonna have a roadmap. I don't want to say any specific date. I don't think it will be as far off as many would expect. We do have the hackathon coming up, which we're super excited about, and we're gonna be working with a ton of different people on that. So all I can say is that it's likely to be very soon.
Krasavice, you might have touched on this already. Are L2 transactions going to be possible to, avoid that 2-minute block time in the future?
Yeah. So that's certainly some layer 2 solutions could definitely be used. And so really, I think the way we're going to navigate the block time is we're going to use the blocks to essentially verify the actions on the casino, but we can do a lot of things in real time, not inside of the block, but in such a decentralized way. So it's essentially would use off-chain logic, but it would be decentralized by probably the use of oracles. So yeah, there's a lot of details to it, but obviously, we could easily use layer 2 to batch everything together. And yeah, just use that as verification of the actions rather than the individual transactions themselves.
Yeah. I feel like, in Ergo in general, things are progressively moving forward, and people, slowly come up with solutions to any problem. So I think that's what you're doing, which is great. So before we finish off, is there anything you'd like the community to know about the NightOwlCasino?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I would really love to put out there is to, if you guys are really interested in the project and what we're doing, come join and be part of the movement. And I don't even mean that just for us. There's a ton of different projects that are being built on Ergo, Nautilus, Sky Harbor, etc. are all amazing projects. So I just kind of want to encourage everyone to join. You don't even have to be a dev per se. You can help in many other ways. So that's one of the main things I want to say. There's also lots to come. So just stay tuned. Follow us on all social medias. Sportsbook coming, lottery coming. And want to finish it off with telling everyone to put it all on red.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, J and Krasavice, for coming on and being so transparent.
It was such a huge pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you guys for having us. Appreciate the time.